the things that I want to say to you guys, I know you're going to eat and I'm going to speak at the same time, and go ahead, because that's all right. And I'm sorry, Rotary, but I can't do it by 7:30. I'll do my best. But one of the things I want to say is, I love this job. I love the town. I love the people. I'd be lying if I told you there were things about this job that I didn't like. There were some very tough decisions we had to make this year, but I love this job. I love being town supervisor, and this is a very important point in the town of Riverhead's history. I say we're at a crossroads, and I say that because we're at the crossroads of being a small town, a small agricultural town with pressures on it that other towns experienced a long time ago and became overdeveloped because they didn't know how to handle it. And we're at that point. And so it's exciting to be at the helm of the town of Riverhead, and it is a great honor to be here. I want to thank a few people. There's a couple people in Turks and Caicos right now from my staff that are not here. But Tara McLaughlin, she's here. She's the Chief of Staff. I want to thank her. She has done a wonderful job. Jill Lewis is at Turks and Caicos, so as at Rotary. We should boo her. Turk, come on. Carol Sclafani, my assistant, she does a wonderful job of keeping me on track. Give Carol a round of applause. I could not do this job without Anthony Coates. Anthony Coates he's like my political conscience. The thing with Tony is stay on script every time you get off. Every time you get off script, I'm off script. Every time you get off script, there's extra work that we have to do. But Anthony has this tremendous wealth of information, political information, societal insight. He does a wonderful job, and I thank him for it. And he does, you folks may not know it, but he does a lot of stuff in the town of Riverhead. We don't have a press secretary. We don't have a public affairs officer the way other towns do. So he does a lot of the stuff both for us politically, for the town board as a town board, and for the residents of the town. And I want people, if you would acknowledge Anthony Coates. I also want to acknowledge the Kiwanis, Lions, and Rotary. I thank you for this event. I think the next thing I need to figure out is how long has Rotary, Kiwanis, and Lions been doing this? Because everybody I asked said it's from the beginning of time. So it's sort of neat to do this in this setting. A lot of the town supervisors do this at a regular board meeting or a special board meeting, and I think this is a little different. And the town board is here. I know some of the town board is not here, but it is great to do this in this setting in front of business people and business leaders and community leaders, as opposed to the same 6 people that show up to the board meeting every week. So I appreciate this opportunity. Now we'll go to the script. A little more than a year ago, I took the oath of office at a festively decorated Vale Levitt Theater. The mood of the crowd was hopeful. It was a moment of renewal. Riverheaders showed their pride in the town we love. That day, I outlined the challenges ahead. The vision for an improved downtown, the new direction for EPCAL, for preserving our rural heritage, and for bringing fiscal sanity to Town Hall. It was a difficult challenge, but I'm happy to say that 1 year later, even in a terrible downdraft in the economy, with municipalities and states across the nation going bankrupt and being strapped for cash, with households across our town hurting financially, bankruptcies being filed, this town has made great progress towards the creation of a new Riverhead. 1 year ago, downtown was a sea of empty storefronts. with ill-conceived plans of revitalization. The illusion of Apollo hung over the downtown. It choked out real renewal and good projects. For all too long, Riverhead was subjected to false promises of projects that were coming soon, but never materialized. Yet we saw this litany of artists' renderings on easels, smoke and mirrors. However, one short year later, in this backdrop of a poor economy, Jim Bissett and Joe Petrocelli have started the construction of a new hotel. The Hyatt Hotel is growing faster than a teenager with a growth spurt each day. As it gets closer to completion, it will be a treasure on our riverfront, adjacent to the aquarium. Dennis McDermott has invested in our future. Dennis is the creator of the Frisky Oyster in Greenport and is bringing his know-how and can-do spirit to Main Street to create a glorious new eatery across the street from the soon-to-be-open Hyatt. And if you have the opportunity, if you're walking by that store, stop in. The construction is going along at a fantastic pace, and I thank Leroy Barnes and our building department for helping this. I thank Michael Reichel from our sewer department for helping Dennis. Bob Castaldi has invested in our future. Only 1 year ago, the Suffolk Theater was mired in controversy. Did the town want it back? Did the town want to keep it? Were they going to let Bob go forward? Well, that's over. And through the hard work and with a new attitude, you can hear the circular saws and the hammers of the theater, of the people working in the theater, as it gets ready to open its doors once again. I've been through it. It's happening. It's happening now. Morgan Hayes has invested. Just down the street from the Suffolk Theater, the Red Collection has opened. It's a place for browsers and purchasers and buyers to look at antiques, furniture, in what was the abandoned Ben Franklin building. Liz Strebel, a staple on downtown Main Street, has reinvested in our future. The Riverhead Grill has been rehabbed, refurbished, and is once again the comfort place to eat on Main Street. I take it personally if we lose any stores on Main Street. When I came back last year from vacation in Florida, Sandy Wasner had announced she was closing up the Blue Door Gallery. That didn't happen. At this time, with her can-do attitude and with some help from Town Hall, she has moved that to Roanoke Avenue. Her can-do spirit kept that store opened. And we have not lost a store, except one, I'll get to it, on Main Street since I took office. I'm not saying it's not going to happen. I'm not saying we won't lose a store. But I take that personally. Sandy is doing well. Mr. Girardi had a vision. A year ago today, we had a tremendous problem at Costa Rica. There were knife fights and stabbings and problems of every kind. Well, 1 short year later, through the diligence of the police chief Hager Miller and the police department, Costa Rica is gone. The blight on Main Street is gone. Order has returned. And Cody's Barbecue Restaurant will open on Main Street, providing good food for the people of Riverhead. John, and I'm going to butcher his last name, Mazapopoulos, has invested in our future. John owns the Athens Restaurant, And if you haven't had the chance to see the beautiful way he has transformed this building into a Greek cafe with live music and good food, you need to go there. John is open and ready and has made the investment. Dee Muma has invested twice in our future. She is in one of the most prominent locations on Main Street, 1 East Main Street. She's opened the Dark Horse restaurant and brought a world-class eatery with a bistro-like feel to Main Street. Not to mention what she did with the revitalization of the apartments upstairs. She has also bought the building adjacent on Peconic Avenue and is going to open that up as well with more of an artist lofts and a small shopping center, not shopping center, but a small shop center feel. Ray Dickhoff, Marty Sanluski, and Jody Giglio have invested in our future. These are the principals in the Summerwind project, which will replace the decayed Club 91, which we had many problems with over the years, and beautify the gateway to a town with a soaring apartment complex that will bring foot traffic to downtown. Dan Burke and Greg Martin, sitting right over here from Long Island, invested in our future. They came to see me in January of 2010 and said, we want to open Long Island and we want to open it in Riverhead. We opened up the maps, we looked around, we sent them to one location, that didn't work, they came back. We sent them to another location, that didn't work, they came back. They are now about to open a world-class brewery in Polish Town. I want you to give these people a round of applause. One thing that I will say about Dan and Greg is they have a mean breakfast stout. It goes well with eggs. These people have invested in our future. Look around this room. There is a spirit that we're moving in the right direction downtown, and you can feel it. These people are not talk. They are not hot air. These people have taken up the challenge. They have put the shoulder to the stone to move this town forward at a time when lending is nil and customers are scarce. It is not me, it is not the town board, it is those people that we discussed. These are the people that have invested in our future, and you can believe downtown will change for the better, because it is not about artist renderings on easels. I said this from the beginning, I don't want to see another elevation on Main Street. All I want to hear is the circular saw and the hammer working. This time it feels good. This time it's going to happen. Folks, we aren't where we want to be, but we're not where we were a year ago. Ray's Pickersgill is here, and some of the members of the bid are here. They need to be recognized. When we took office, the town board said to the bid, guess what? You will be gone in 1 year if you don't perform. That is the gauntlet we laid down. It would interest all of you to know that over the 6 years of Mr. Cardinale's administration, the bid racked up $300,000 in surplus because they didn't do anything. And we said very frankly, perform or shut down and we will return the tax dollars to the people. Well, I can tell you they performed. To anyone that has been to downtown, they know that the renewal, the arts, the fairs, everything the bid has done has created a fun place to be. Each week during the summer, we had hundreds of people come down for the classic car show. Our riverfront was full, bringing families and baby carriages, young and old alike, walking the riverfront with a renewed sense of spirit, community spirit that we have not had in ages. Downtown was a place of concerts and arts, music and fun. The 4th of July celebration was one of the largest we had in decades. We had Rock on the River, children's concerts, stilt walkers, and one of our most successful country fairs ever. The Blues Festival rolled on. Our Polish Fair had a great year. We organized a country and western concert. People enjoyed Jim Wooten's community bonfire. We had parades and concerts. Thousands of people showed up for the cardboard boat race. I know, because I sunk. That's Gabrielson Boat Works over there. He's retooling that. I will beat Anna Throneholtz next year. Well, for a long time it seemed like the downtown boat was sunk. But today, even our biggest pessimists, well, I don't know about RIV, but most of our biggest pessimists see a positive spirit. We see families and neighbors coming together, enjoying downtown like the old days. Renewing downtown is about people and events. It's about entrepreneurs ready to invest and live by the sweat of their brow. It is about kids running through crowds in old Chevys and old Fords and face paint and community gardens and music. It is about coming together in Riverhead. You can feel the downtown coming back, and we look forward to even a grander downtown in 2011. Ray Pickersgill and the bid, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. One year ago, this town faced an enormous deficit. Our landfill was in essence bankrupting this town, and for all too long we existed on one-shot budget gimmicks to keep Riverhead afloat. 1 year later, we see the light at the end of the tunnel as we begin to move this town onto firm financial footing. Riverhead, like any other municipality across America, is being battered by a bad economy. But unlike other towns, we have had the political muscle and courage to swallow the bitter pill that will bring us closer to balancing our budget. Last year, as many of you know, my budget laid people off from Town Hall for the first time in a long time. I do not take that responsibility lightly. When I said to you when I walked up here and I said, I love this job, that was the single worst thing that I ever had to do, that I've ever had to do in my life. And I brought every one of those people into my office and spoke to them personally. I can say this, and it won't get reported in too many places, but of the 5 people, full-time people we laid off, 3 of them now have secured jobs. 1 of them makes significantly more than they made at the town of Riverhead. I took that job seriously too. You see, the union thinks they take care of their employees, but I have to tell you, I believe that is my responsibility to take care of the employees of Riverhead. And when they are not employees, when they asked for the help, that was my responsibility to help them find jobs, and we did. There are 2 that have not asked, and I cannot do what I've not been asked to do. But we did everything we could. I tried to keep everybody we could. But there is a sword hanging over the town and every Riverhead taxpayer. The sword brings with it the danger of foreclosure on family homes and personal bankruptcy. Simply put, the public cries out for a reduction in the size of government. We can either face bigger problems today or larger ones tomorrow. So my budget called for the layoff of 13 employees, 7 of them being part-time. 7 of those employees made around $10,000 and received 100% paid medical benefits from the town of Riverhead. That cost us an additional $8,000 to $18,000. Our health insurance costs have skyrocketed. Over the past year, through budget cutbacks and what I will call miserly spending, but it's really Tara McLaughlin, we have absorbed that increase, and we have actually kept real spending down in 2011 by $800,000 compared to the previous year. We are on the right financial track, but we are not out of the woods. Everyone talks about tough solutions, shrinking the size of government, but let me tell you, it is one thing to talk in a political campaign. It is another thing to actually do it in town hall. This administration and this town board has made tough choices. We are committed to put this town on the path of fiscal stability. To be honest with you, the unions aren't happy with me. And next year, maybe I'll be re-elected, or maybe I'll be run out on a rail. But I want you to know, whatever my personal fate is, as long as I'm the town supervisor, I am going to fight to reduce the size and cost of government. I'm going to do what it takes to hold the line of on taxes, and I will always be honest with the public, because the public deserves no less. Finally, 1 year ago I said we needed to tap into the town's treasure at EPCAL to create tax base and good, clean paying jobs in Riverhead. 1 year later, after a few fits and starts, I believe we are doing just that. But we need to recap. We need to know where we were to understand where we are going. You can laugh if you want to, but there were two projects that occupied quite a bit of my time in 2010. The first was the Reckler deal. The Reckler deal sounded great on paper until it transformed itself into a housing project of just about 1,000 units of housing, 1,000 feet from our active runway. It didn't take a Grumman engineer to figure out that that didn't work. So the Recklers left. The next project was a ski mountain. We all witnessed the broken promises. I have the picture in my office hanging to prove it. We witnessed the missed deadlines. We gave Riverhead Resorts every opportunity to close and every benefit of the doubt. But in the end, they could not close that transaction. So we sit here today with a blank canvas, which is fantastic. I don't want to say it's completely blank, because as your town supervisor, one of the things that I do, one of my biggest jobs is to be salesman in chief for this town. There are companies, there are defense contractors that I am courting right now. So when I say it's a blank canvas, that's not entirely true. There are no deals, this is true, in the pipeline. There aren't any projects on the drawing boards. But this clean slate permits us to make a new beginning, and we shall. We have had the EPCAL property for 12 years, and we have not done nothing with that bounty beyond selling the industrial core for the paltry sum of $17 million. EPCAL has been the place where bad ideas come to die. EPCAL is where everybody with a dollar and a dream has come to propose silly schemes that never get off the ground. EPCAL is the place where politicians like myself promise you the moon and the stars in order to win re-election, with really no intention of ever delivering on them. The days of fiddling with EPCAL are over. My plan is simple, and I don't understand why we haven't done it. First, we will do what the Department of Environmental Conservation has said we must do from the very beginning. And that is to produce a comprehensive environmental study of the land. There's a lot of you out there that may not like the idea that this is going to cost us $400,000. We can posture and pontificate. We can talk and bluster. But in the end, we will never accomplish anything unless we work with the Department of Environmental Conservation and with the Suffolk County Health Department. So, in order to stick this shovel in the ground, we will wrap up this environmental study. It is time, and the town board has realized that, to recognize this reality and get that job done. Second, the environmental study is going to show us finally, once and for all, what areas are developable and what areas are not. We are going to create a subdivision. It's not rocket science. Before I was town supervisor, I was a practicing attorney. There's people in the room that do this every day. A subdivision is quite a simple thing when you put your ducks in a row. We will subdivide the property into smaller, more marketable lots. We have a much better chance of creating jobs and marketing this to as a high-tech industrial subdivision with smaller lots than we will ever have creating a Disney World North. With a clean bill of environmental health, on newly subdivided EPCAL property, we can tap into the potential that's EPCAL. A few weeks ago, my good friend Councilman Jim Wooten at the helm, we drove the senior citizen bus to Devens, Massachusetts. Devens was a fort that was closed in much the same way as EPCAL. Devens received the land due to this base closure, but that's where the similarity ends. And that's where the story of Devens and Riverhead departs. In Devens, the state created an agency to act as a clearinghouse and a facilitator to drive the permitting process so that developers can receive their permit approvals in 75 days. This state and this town cannot even compete with the People's Republic of Massachusetts. I'm sorry, I should have said that. There's something wrong here. If New York can't compete with Massachusetts, there's something wrong. In order to develop something at EPCAL, you have to go to the state DEC, the county health department, and the town planning department. It is a 2 to 8 year process. Businesses will never come under those circumstances. My suggestion is that working with Senator Laval, Governor Cuomo, Assemblyman LaSquadro, we are going to create a permit clearinghouse that would streamline. That's not better. You want to turn that lower. That would streamline the timetable it takes to site a business and get development going. We need to be able to permit things at EPCAL in 75 days. I am committed, let me say it again, committed to making that happen. With an environmental study in hand and a finished subdivision and a permit clearinghouse, we can then take EPCAL from a field of dreams to a real playing field where companies like Bristol-Myers Squibb might want to come and create jobs and tax base. A few weeks ago, I met with Senator Charles Schumer, and we discussed a vision that he had for Long Island. Senator Schumer is working hard to unite the resources of Brookhaven Lab, Cold Spring Harbor Laboratory, and Stony Brook University to create a high-tech industrial park. Why can't that be Grumman? Supervisor Mark Lesko in Brookhaven is working on a similar initiative. Why can't we work together? There's no reason we can't work together. There's no reason that this can't happen. Oh wait, there is. We have to have the political will and the courage to do it. I may be a 2-year supervisor, but I will not govern like that. I will not govern just to get myself reelected. I will govern this town, and I will govern EPCAL in a way that makes sense for the businesses and the residents to build jobs and tax base. Gone are the days of the Pulte homes and the Wilpon housing development. We are no longer going to look for ski mountains and carnivals. There is no reason we cannot innovate and out-create the soft, sleek land of Northern California. What better place is there to do it than the former Grumman facility? When the challenge was thrown down before the American people to put a man on the moon, where'd they come? Calverton. It will happen again. It can happen again. And this town board is going to make it happen again. We have to dream bigger. I'm going to hitch my wagon to Senator Schumer's Silicon Valley East. I'm going to hitch my wagon to Supervisor Lesko's Silicon Valley because it makes sense. We are not operating in a vacuum. We are a region, and we have to start functioning like a region. A job doesn't end at the Riverhead town border. If I create a job in Brookhaven as a Riverhead town supervisor, there's a good possibility one of my residents is going to work there. And if I create a job in this town, there's a very good resident that another supervisor's resident is going to work here. We are a region. We need to conduct ourselves as such. I want to remind you that Riverhead is a great place to live and work and play. Some of you have been here for generations, and some of you came during the blossom of the 60s, and some of you are relatively new to town like myself, which means you've been here less than 100 years. We are all here for the same reason. This is a better place to be. There is something special about holding your child's hand on Iron Pier Beach. There is something special about clamming in the Peconic or picking fresh strawberries on Fresh Pond. Admit it, I'm guilty of it. We've all muttered under our breath when that John Deere is moving down Sound Avenue at 25 miles an hour. Mr. Hartman, or whoever's at the wheel, is basically having a good old time. But I wouldn't trade it for anything. I would not trade our rural way of life for the bustle that is Up Island. So we will happily keep our tractor traffic on Sound Avenue. We must keep our heritage. The best way we can do this, and to ensure this place doesn't become like just any other place, is to preserve open space and farmland. In this past year, working with the county and with very depleted community preservation funds, we have saved more than 300 acres of farmland and open space in Riverhead. Land that will be forever green. Land that will never see the bulldozer's blade. Land that will never increase taxes by sending kids to the school district. Land that we can all enjoy as long as we walk this earth. It is for our children and their children. For nature enriches us, and every sunset brings the promise of a new dawn. Everywhere you look, there's much to be done. Whether it is moving in a new direction at EPCAL, or willing our downtown back to life, or regaining our financial health, the time to act is now. You can never wait for just the right time. It will never be just the right time. Now is the time. This is the State of the Town message. I'm here to tell you the state of Riverhead is great. That we, like many other towns, have faced difficulties. And like any other town, has had weaknesses. But it is the strength of our people, their character, their hard work, their commitment, and their love of this town that are the seeds that will bring us the bounty of many summers and autumns to come. This past year we have made a beginning, and all of us should be excited about what's next. There are many people in life, like RIV, that say no, that you can't do it, that it won't work. That is unacceptable to me. That is unacceptable to me when a department head comes in and lays out all the problems. You know what? Bob Lanieri said something to me very early on. He said, when a staff member does that, tell them to go back out the door. Shut it. Open it when you have the solution. I know what the problems are. I'm not interested in the problems. I'm interested in the solution. We, myself, the board, we want to say yes, and things will get done. Last year, all of us remember the rains that washed out Horton Avenue. There were displaced neighbors and friends, homes that were shattered, and many of them will never be lived in again. In that adversity, something very special happened. The community came together. Horton Avenue t-shirts sprung up like blue jeans. Neighbors helped neighbors. Neighbors reached into their pocket for complete strangers. And the political community, the egos and the partisanship were set aside. And everybody pulled the oars in the same direction. When I look out at the energy and the devotion of the people in this room, I know that we as a town can tackle any problem. We will come together to make this town shine even brighter than it does today. We will be a light on the hill. We must be a light on the hill. I know why this town is special. I may be your town supervisor, but it is in all of our hands, and it will take all of our hands to move this town forward. I know we will rise to the challenge, and I'm happy to be here tonight with you, the people of the town of Riverhead, and say, this town is positive. This town is positively Riverhead. I thank you very much. I'd like to thank my wife Kathleen and our 3 children. Being a town supervisor is not only just a town board effort, but it's a family effort. Because I, the councilmen, the councilwomen, we're out a lot, go to different functions, and we could not do that with the basis support, without a good family basis support. And I thank my wife Kathleen for allowing me to do this, and I thank you for your time.